Hey skiers, I'm Jeff from skiessentials.com.
And I'm Bob. How's it going?
Bob and I are here today to talk about the 2025 Faction Dancer 2. This is going to be very similar to when we talked about the Faction Prodigy 1, a month ago? No, 3 weeks ago?
3 weeks, I think.
Something like that. In the sense that, Bob, these skis belong to you.
Yeah.
You've been skiing them a bunch.
Yep.
And it's been pretty fun. I've skied the Dancer 2 in the past. I haven't been skiing them this winter, which is basically the same thing that we did with the Prodigy 1. But I do feel like just having casual conversations with you and following you with a camera and all that stuff, I have like a better understanding and appreciation for this ski than I ever have before.
Yeah.
It's just interesting when you like really take the time and like spend like, not that I've been on it, but spend multiple days, like not just skiing them, but kind of like looking at them and assessing them.
Yeah, and also like putting a binding of your choice on them and getting a specific size or mounting it in a certain way. And I'm sure those things will come up, but yeah, just kind of putting your own personal touch on a ski like you did with your Prodigy.
Yeah.
I think just lends kind of a more individual account to the ski.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think we mentioned it in the Prodigy. We're going to try and do more and more of that. Like Matt, for example, has an Oblivion 102 that it's his skis. He chose the binding that he wanted. He mounted it where he wanted it, and it's his ski. And it is a little bit of a different experience than skiing something with a demo binding. But there's totally merits to that too. Like I'm really excited. Something that I've been looking forward to, and we're kind of getting off track already, but something that I've been looking for is doing like another length comparison on like Enforcer 94s.
Sure.
So it's not like we're going to stop doing that, but yeah, I think these a little bit more personal reviews are fun.
Yeah.
On paper, the construction puts it in kind of an important league. Do you want to take us through what's inside these things?
Yeah, it is a lightweight poplar wood core with 2 sheets of metal. So like you were saying, there's a bunch of skis that really like find their audience by being
2 sheets of metal.
We're a double sheet metal ski.
Yep.
And that's putting certain people in a different category. So interestingly, this Dancer fits in that category with an M7 Mantra.
Yeah.
We had mentioned an Enforcer 94, a Blizzard Anomaly 94, like skis like that we normally think of as being like, this is a really burly ski with 2 sheets of metal.
Yep.
Surprisingly, this fits in there, and we can certainly talk about how it fits in there and whether it has different qualities, and it certainly does.
Yeah, I think so. And it's like I was saying earlier, like you really have to kind of like I want to say pay attention, which sounds silly, but it's like when you just look at the ski, if you glanced at it on a ski wall and somebody was like, that has 2 sheets of metal, I guarantee your initial perception would be wrong.
Right.
Of like what the ski is all about.
Yeah. And then there's some other things that Faction does. We talked about this with your Prodigy, like extra large edges, like 2.5 millimeter edges and XL sidewalls, so more sidewall into the ski. So like those things plus the dual span Titanal add to that lightweight poplar. So it is a little bit of a blend of attributes in terms of construction. And then one of the things that I'm really impressed with is this top sheet. I don't know if you've kind of banged around with this top sheet at all, but
the durability.
Yeah. I think that
good.
This ski is built like a very durable ski, and
it looks brand new. And you've probably skied it 15 times?
Yeah, and like kind of hammered on it.
Yeah.
You know, and we've had interesting conditions with big moguls, ice, like really just rugged conditions, rocks, trees, stumps. Like I've definitely not been shy about bashing this thing around.
Yeah.
And it looks brand new. So really hard, durable, and textured top sheet, which I think is a nice distinguishing characteristic of this ski versus some of its competitors. And then it does have kind of a taper to cap, and when you talk about shape and profile, I'd like you to bring that in, but it is full sidewall up until where the rocker starts, basically, and then it goes to full cap. Yeah. So really interesting how that also differentiates it from other kind of more traditional skis in this realm.
Yep.
But other than that, not a whole lot going on in terms of the construction. But those things are unique and do make this ski stand out in a pretty crowded field of mid-90s all mountain skis.
I think the partial cap construction is really important.
Yeah.
And that's like when I was talking about if you glanced on it on a ski wall and somebody told you it had 2 sheets of metal,
Yeah.
you wouldn't notice that cap right away. Or like, you know, if you're looking at it from this angle, you don't necessarily see it.
Right.
But like once you start kind of looking at those things, it does, at least for me, it's changed my perception of it.
Yeah.
Can I have that one?
Yeah, and this is a 182, and this length is about 1950 grams.
Thank you.
So it is sub 2,000, you know, so a little bit lighter than some of those other skis we've mentioned so far.
Yeah.
And certainly heavier than others that fit into this range that aren't quite as sturdy.
Yeah, it's kind of right in the middle.
Yeah.
But for a ski with 2 sheets of metal, it's hard for me to think of something off the top of my head that's lighter. I think there is, but I can't think of what that is.
Like a Storm Rider 95.
Thank you. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. So, anyways, looking at shape here, everything that Bob was saying with construction, it goes hand in hand with the shape, and it is like, you know, when I think of Faction as a company, I think more of like freeride skiing. I think they're kind of known for twin tips and.
I still think of Candide.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, exactly. Like that's kind of burned into our memory. So I do think that like that kind of brand heritage and their style, it totally filters into this ski, and I think that's really good. So what Bob was pointing out about the cap construction, where that starts is where the rocker starts, and among skis with 2 sheets of metal. Again, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything with more rocker than this. I think like Anomaly 94 is close, but I think this has a little bit more splay.
Yeah, similar.
It is
because
similar.
those blizzards are definitely more abrupt at the end.
Yeah.
Like these dancers are.
The other thing that's interesting is there's still a lot of camber. So like camber height is pretty significant.
Yeah.
And I think you feel that. And then there's more tail rocker in this ski than I remembered.
For being like a flat-ish
Yeah, exactly.
directional ski.
Yeah. So like I do think that's really important, and that's another one of those just like subtle nuances of this ski that you might not notice right away, but it is a decent amount of tail rocker back here. This one's got a 19-meter turn radius, and then the other thing that like, here, I'm gonna give you this one back.
Okay.
The other thing that, like, I think it's the graphic that makes it hard to see how much early taper there is.
Yeah.
Because it is, like, you have to kind of, like, look at it a couple times, and then you realize that, like, that's the widest point right there. So it is, again, it's, like, more than average rocker for a ski with 2 sheets of metal, and more than average taper, I would say, as well. That is only true in the shovel. There's really not much taper back here,
No.
which I think is important. And then this ski, 96 underfoot, and I think I already said this, but 19-meter turn radius. So mid-90 ski with 2 sheets of metal. It's in a really like important category of skis.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, it's stiff, but it's not too stiff.
Yeah.
You know, it's got a consistent flex to it. It's certainly stiffer than
It's stiffer than most.
most. Like most skis of this shape,
Yeah.
but not necessarily of this build.
Yeah.
And that's where I think that the dancer's character kind of differentiates itself,
I think so too.
is its ability to be a unique ski in this realm is really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, and kind of hard to do.
Yeah.
Because like that's something that I've experienced over the years, and I do think across the board manufacturers are getting better at it. But there was a time when like every ski with 2 sheets of metal kind of just felt the same,
Right.
and that wasn't that long ago.
No, and that was the goal, because everyone had that goal of making the race ski on the
Wide
race
race
ski,
ski.
wide race ski.
Yeah.
And that's kind of morphed into this, which I think is interesting.
Yeah. Are you ready to talk more about those characteristics?
Sure.
Okay, I forgot my questions, so I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back. This has been a new addition to these more personal reviews.
The hard-hitting questions.
Q&A format,
Yeah.
which maybe is evident in the fact that I forgot to bring these. But anyways, Bob, I put these in an on-piste and then off-piste format, or groomed and then ungroomed.
Okay.
Are you good with that?
We'll find out.
If you ever want to add something, feel free to add
Okay.
something. Dancer 2. 96 millimeters underfoot with 2 sheets of metal puts it in a popular and important range of skis. Compared to Anomaly 94, Enforcer 94, and M7 Mantra, how does it compare in a carving format?
I would take out the Anomaly 84 and put that
94.
94, and put that in a little bit of a different category.
You can compare it to each of those skis individually if
Okay.
you'd like, or as a group.
Okay. I'm going to take the Anomaly out to start.
Okay.
Because I feel like that one is just much more direct
Sure.
than the Enforcer and the Mantra, which I feel
Are turnier.
they fit
Yep.
more into this style
Oh, interesting.
of turnier skis, in my opinion. And one of the things that has led me to that, and if I'm stepping on a future question, sorry, but I also have mounted these at the progressive line, and they are a 182, so a little bit further forward, and that puts it more into the Enforcer 94.
Yeah, sure.
That
With that
slightly
altered mount point. Yep.
forward mount point.
Yep.
And really allows you to take advantage of kind of the middle section of the ski.
Yep.
So I feel really comfortable on this in that mid-radius carve, similar as that Enforcer 94. I don't think it has the same energy and quickness and really just full-on power into the next turn as that Mantra,
Yep.
although the middle of the turn feels the same. But the initiation and completion of a turn in the Mantra is a lot more direct
A little
and precise.
crisper.
Yeah.
Which makes sense given the rocker and the cap construction.
Yeah.
In the tip, there's got to be less torsional stiffness.
Yeah.
Right there.
And you think about a Mantra and you think about Vocals designers, they're still kind of in that race ski on steroids type
Yeah.
of deal, whereas
Yeah.
Faction is not, they're not.
Totally.
Like they don't have a race department that they're taking
Pulling
their
from.
cues from,
Yeah.
whereas the
Whether
Mantra
intentional
certainly
or not.
does. Right.
There's just no, like, whether you're taking your cues from there on purpose or whether it's just something that filters into like your personality as a
Yeah.
brand, doesn't happen for
No.
Faction.
No.
Yeah, if anything, the opposite.
Yeah. And then the Anomaly is the anomaly of this group,
Sure.
which I found is just a lot more comfortable at higher speeds,
Like still a little
straighter
straighter,
lines,
yeah.
and is certainly confident and comfortable coming around in a turn, but doesn't have the mid-range
Sure.
of this in terms of carving performance.
Yeah, you did like several times over the past month while skiing. I think Matt usually asks you this
Yeah.
question. He's like, Bob, still just mid-radius carves?
Yeah.
And you're like, yep.
Yep.
Okay, got it. Anything else to add before I move on?
In terms of like feel, they still don't feel as burly
Yeah,
as any of those.
that's good. Perfect segue.
Okay.
So, as someone who has followed you a lot and skied with you a lot, to me it looks like it compares more closely, compared to those 3 skis that we started with, it compares more closely to skis like Stance 96 or maybe even Storm Rider 95. My question is, does it have the same quickness as those skis? And is there a better comparison than, say, Stance 96? Really,
Maybe.
the hard-hitting
I
questions
know.
here.
Well, it's funny because I don't know if you've picked up on it, but I've been referring to this as a QST 92 with metal.
That's my next question.
Okay. So the stance, like, because of that, the stance hasn't really entered my mind as
Sure.
as a comparative ski.
That's what I kind of was wondering that, which
Yeah.
is why I'm throwing it in there as a.
Yeah.
On paper, it's closer than the QST 92.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's very similar to a stance.
Interesting.
I think and I don't think it's very similar to a Storm Rider.
Got it.
This is the big difference with the Storm Rider.
Yeah,
is
the
that
little
rounder
rise.
and more rockered tail.
Yeah.
And also this, Storm Rider is a little bit more flexible
Yeah.
in the shovel. So I don't think that I don't. This is more consistent tip to tail than the Storm Rider.
And the stance?
No, stance is more consistent than this.
A little more solid.
This goes in the middle in
Perfect.
terms of consistency and flex and behavior. The stance is also very intuitive.
Yep.
This I did not find to be terribly intuitive because I kept going back and forth between I'm on a mantra to I'm on a QST.
Yeah,
So it really kind of split the difference between those really well.
that makes sense.
Whereas the stance 90 or 96, I'm sorry, is just extremely intuitive. You get on that thing and it basically tells you
yeah, where to turn.
where to turn, what to do.
And I think that's the tip shape.
Yeah,
No taper
Yeah.
in that stance, really, at least compared to this.
yeah. Whereas this is definitely more user input based. So it does have more kind of, I'd say, reach.
Yeah.
If you are asking the ski to do something, this is amenable. Whereas the Stance 96 is definitely more like, you're kind of on my program
Sure.
and have fun.
Okay. Good answers.
Thanks.
You mentioned it reminds you of a QST92 with metal. Can you explain your thought process?
Yeah.
Because to me, the first time you said that, I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And I'm here for your explanation.
It's this area.
The tip.
That really gave me QST 92 vibes.
Yeah.
Where
Steering potential.
this dancer is hypermobile.
Yeah.
Like the QST 92.
Yeah.
You can really just, like when you flick your ankle, the front of the ski is gone.
Yeah.
And
I have noticed that, like, not necessarily on piste, but how quick you made like a weird, like, not weird, but you made like a slashy turn on hayride.
Yeah.
And I thought you were gonna high side yourself and like have a pretty bad fall.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember in that moment just being like, how did he do that on a ski with 2 sheets of metal?
Yeah, it's because of the shape and the profile
Yeah.
that is, to me, very similar to a QST 92. I don't think it's as dramatic,
Yeah.
but it is there. It is present where you get that early taper in the tip and some more tail rocker with the camber underfoot. So it does have
Yes.
kind of that shape and profile. So it is just extremely agile.
Yeah.
And I think that more forward mount point is helpful in that regard and really allows you to move the skis really quickly underfoot.
Yep.
So like, we're still on piste, right?
Yeah, yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We're still in the on-piste
So
discussion.
kind of a limitation in that regard, where for me, on this length with the widest part here,
Yeah.
I'm dealing with a pretty short
Yeah.
effective edge. So if you're trying to open it up and really stand on the ski in a long, fast carved turn, it's not as happy. It's better than a QST 92 because of the metal, but
Yep.
I felt the same way about the shape of the QST 92, where when you try to open it up,
It doesn't like it.
it wants to track uphill a little bit sooner than you would choose.
Yep.
Whereas, an enforcer or something like that will be smoother and ride along easier.
Got it.
Yeah.
I have one more on-piste question, and it's quick.
Yep.
What are its major strengths as an on-piste ski?
Medium radius carves.
Got it. But I mean, it sounds like some quickness on the sides of the trail too.
Yeah.
Like you've brought that up several times, that it's a very agile ski.
Yeah, but not in the tail as much. It's really agile here.
Yeah. Fair.
I didn't love how I was expecting more rebound, and I think when
In like a skidded.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think when I'm going to move this mount point back to traditional,
Try
which
it
is
again.
unhelpful for this conversation, but
Yeah, it'll be
I
helpful for a
think
future
that-
conversation.
Yeah, I think that just having that little bit of extra tail kind of reduced the amount of energy that I was expecting.
Yeah.
So this is where my expectations didn't meet the reality.
Yep.
But no problem like getting the tips out in front and making turns like that. But in terms of that style where you're pushing
Yeah.
on your tails and getting the rebound out of the tails, I wasn't as overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But certainly easy to make those turns, just not as energetic or as fluid as I was expecting.
Perfect. You ready for off-piste?
Yes.
You skied it in a wide range of conditions off-piste. To start, how did it feel in the bumps? And by that I mean moguls.
Really good. I really like these.
It looked really good.
I really like these.
It's always hard for me watching you ski moguls to like really differentiate between like, oh, Bob's feeling really good today, or that ski is really good in the moguls.
Yeah.
So I always have to ask.
And like we haven't had soft moguls.
Yep.
I think if we think back to last year on the Mantra M7 when I skied those moguls on the spring day, we've seen that footage. Like those are nice soft bumps.
Yeah.
So that was easier on a Mantra. It's when you get into kind of more adverse moguls that Mantra would be
a handful,
a little more skittish.
Yeah.
Whereas the mobility of the shovel here really helped kind of make that a little bit easier.
So you answered one of these already, but in mogul application, is it easier or similar to those first three skis I asked about?
Easier.
Than all three?
Than all three. I would say like maybe the Enforcer would be my second choice for bumps.
Yep.
But it's not too close. It's Dancer and then those other three skis kind of lumped together.
Yeah, and that's, I think, that's one of the things that I think about it, that I think is really cool about it, is that it's in the realm of skis with two sheets of metal. If that's the thing that sets it apart is like mogul performance, then like that's pretty cool. Right. Because there aren't many skis in this category that can really claim that.
Yeah.
I actually don't remember. I haven't even been with you every day that you've skied these because I was gone for a while.
Yeah.
But I know that you've skied them in some soft snow because I've watched you do it. How did it feel in softer snow in kind of classic Vermont trees?
Not bad. I would rather be on a QST 92 or a 98.
Fair.
Something without metal, something with a little bit more drama in the tip and tail.
Yep.
But we don't get the full-on snowy days in the woods consistently.
Right.
We get a lot of packed out trees.
Yep.
So that's where something like this with that increased agility is really helpful.
Perfect segue.
Okay.
Thinking about like old snow or past snowstorms. If I could transport you to Alta and it snowed 3 days ago, would this be a good choice?
Yeah, and I think you could bring it back to that Stance 96 too, where we thought
same thing with that ski.
Yeah, this is a great post-storm ski.
Yeah.
Where you're getting the right shape, and then whatever you can do with the build, I think is fine.
Yeah.
You know, are we skiing groomers at Alta?
No.
No. We're skiing chalky snow and stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't imagine any issues. My one potential downside would just be the skis kind of hookier feeling here with that brought back taper with the metal.
Doesn't sound like it would be your first choice.
I don't think so.
But it would be a reasonable choice.
Yeah, personally, I think I'd still go a little bit wider.
Well, I was just going to say, would you just bump up to Dancer 3?
Probably. Yeah.
Because it seems to me like this recipe would apply pretty well to western terrain with like 3-day-old snow.
Yeah. Yeah, Breckenridge, most Breckenridge days.
Yeah, exactly.
Something like that where you're getting dry, kind of chalky snow, I think would be really fun on this.
Do you have anything else that you want to talk about specifically for off-piste performance?
They go exactly where you want them to go.
Yep.
Off-piste.
Okay.
So I found it to be more natural feeling off-piste, more intuitive
than on-piste.
On-piste.
I get that impression too.
It was really, really easy to ski no matter what. And we've had some really odd conditions, I guess. And a lot of obstacles.
Yep.
You know, just in our early season snowpack. And
Well, Bob, you're nailing the segues because my next question was going to actually be about today.
Yeah.
So today was really weird. It rained a lot yesterday, and then it froze, but not fully, and then like it kind of snowed a little bit, and there's bare spots out there. So you skied it today on one run through like 3 different snow conditions. How did it handle, like, to me, that is true variable conditions.
Yeah. I mean, I can't think of something that would do it better.
That's pretty impressive. Yeah.
I think that my hang up today was that they need to be tuned.
Which is your fault.
This is my fault. So a lot of the things, that I have light issues with are of my own doing, whether it's the length choice or the mount point or the lack of tuning. Like, I'm a dummy for doing that stuff. But
Sure.
we talk about how when we get these kind of rain freeze cycles that there's like a layer of snow and then you can break through to
just ice.
to the ice underneath.
Yeah.
And nothing really does well on that.
Yeah.
Anomaly 94, I think we decided last year, like, this is a great ski for breaking through the top layer to the bottom. And this is fine. I don't think it's a standout ski for conditions like that, but the metal gives you confidence at least. And that's where this is a very interesting product.
You kind of already answered this. You mostly answered it in a format of which was more intuitive, but do you prefer skiing it on-piste or off-piste? And by that, I mean on groomed snow or ungroomed snow?
Ungroomed snow.
Yeah.
It's one of those like off-piste skis with metal, which is weird. It's like a drifty ski with metal, and it's a strange combination.
Once again, you're nailing the segues, and this is my last question. You've spent quite a bit of time on another ski this year that I would also describe as drifty but with metal. Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
And that is the Declivity X102.
Yeah.
Just quickly, what are the differences?
That Declivity is smoother and more predictable overall.
Yep.
On and off.
Yep.
I would rather ski this in moguls.
Yep.
That's about it.
Yep.
That Declivity is just extremely smooth, quiet, predictable. It's not as energetic.
Yeah, it doesn't seem quite as like technical.
Not as poppy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I guess that's like where the mogul.
Yeah.
That's like when I think of technical skiing, I think of moguls, and that's really where it seems like this ski truly shines.
Yeah, I just haven't. I haven't like felt totally comfortable like opening it up.
Yeah.
Whereas the Declivity is you can just go and you don't think about it. But
well, that's it. Those were my questions.
Cool.
Anything you want to end with?
Yeah. So again, just me being a dummy and not taking my own advice. It's like a doctor that smokes. They're just there's just these weird things that I guess I would have done differently. Either getting the longer length, the 188, and mounting it on
the progressive line.
Which
is the middle of 3 lines.
The middle of 3, or this 182 and moving it back to classic.
Yeah.
So with my current situation, I'm going to move it back to classic.
Cool.
And like other skis that we had talked about, I like in this length.
Right.
182, 177 in the Mantra. Like I like that.
179 Enforcer.
Yeah. I like those lengths. I don't feel the need to go longer. This one might be a little bit different.
Yeah.
So either or, those are the things that I would change about this setup.
You know what's interesting? You know what your skiing reminds me of when you're skiing on this? When you're skiing on your Superforce 992S.
Like a classic, traditional.
Yeah.
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 And
that's why it's not surprising to me that you would want to go longer.
Yeah.
Because that's like, it feels like you like benefit, you like use the length when you're skiing in that style.
Yeah. Yeah. And whereas this is just a little bit different with.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot different, but
yeah.
It's compared to the other modern skis, it's just a unique blend of things.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's it. That's Bob's Dancer 2 review. And then we'll do one more of these specifically for Faction this season. I've been spending a lot of time on a studio too. We almost have a terrain park here in Stowe, so I'm going to wait for that, get a little bit more off-piste experience and footage,
Yeah.
and then we'll share that later in the winter. And this has been fun. Like
Yeah.
I said in the Prodigy review, these are the first like long-form faction reviews that we've really ever done, which has been really, really fun and eye-opening.
Yeah, and I like their series
Yeah.
breakdown.
Yeah, me too.
Whether dancer, studio,
Yeah.
Prodigy. Prodigy, even
Yeah.
agent. They just have.
They're well-defined.
Yeah, they are well defined.
Yeah. So yeah, let us know if you have any questions, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.